Alright, welcome back to Super Ultra Budget Magic Online. I've got a spicy new brew for you. This deck I call Prospector Goblin Storm. You can see that this deck is not legal because it contains a card that's not legal in Modern. This is a Modern deck utilizing the Skirk Prospector. Skirk Prospector, you can buy it online already. It was in Onslaught, not previously Modern legal, but it was recently spoiled for Dominaria. So it's going to make this deck possible. Deck that would not have been as exciting without this card. So basically what we're trying to do with this deck is get a Skirk Prospector on the battlefield. We want to have a lot of token generating cards such as Dragon Fodder, Krenko's Command, which is the same thing, and Hordeling Outburst, and Empty the Warrens. And we want to have stuff out on the battlefield so that it's going to do damage when those enter the battlefield. So I've got one copy of Bantu's Monument because it's legendary. That's going to not just deal 1 damage, it's going to drain them for 1, and you're going to gain life with it also. I've also got one copy of Perforos, again because it is legendary. The 4 of that's going to be dealing that damage is Impact Tremors. And so whenever one of our creatures hits the battlefield, we're going to be dealing 1, 2, 3 damage to them depending on which of these enchantments and how many we've got on the battlefield. So I'm going to take you through a theoretical scenario. Suppose on turn 1 you're able to play a Skirk Prospector. It's just a little 1/1 on the battlefield. Turn 2 you manage to get out a copy of Impact Tremors and swing for 1 with your Skirk Prospector. That's 1 damage. Turn 3, suppose you happen to have a handful of Hordeling Outbursts available. What you can do is cast Hordeling Outburst for 3 on turn 3. That's going to deal 3 damage with Impact Tremors. Then what you can do, because you've got a Skirk Prospector, is sacrifice one of those goblins for 1 red mana. So you can sacrifice all 3, that gives you 3 mana. You can cast Hordeling Outburst again. So that would be, if you could do that 3 times, that's 9 damage. And then your 4th spell for the turn, you can sacrifice all 3 of those goblin tokens plus the Skirk Prospector itself to make 4 mana. Then you can cast Empty the Warrens. This is the 4th spell. That's 8 more goblins. That's 17 enters the battlefield triggers on Impact Tremors for the turn, plus the 1 damage that you did on turn 2. That's 18 damage by turn 3, which is going to be enough to put most Modern decks out. It's a monocolored deck, which makes it quite inexpensive. The Legion Loyalist is one of the larger costs in the deck, and there are potential substitutes for that. This is one that I chose because A, I already had it in my online collection for 8 whack, and B, it ends up being something that is going to give your other creatures first strike and trample, which is going to be handy when you have a lot of these little goblins on the battlefield. And that's in addition to other potential buffs to them on the battlefield, such as I've got just 2 copies of Goblin Bushwhacker for now, and that may be added to if I like the way it plays. And then I've got a couple copies of Quest for the Goblin Lord, which can work as a very inexpensive anthem, and it's whenever a goblin enters the battlefield, and so there should be a whole lot of quest counters going on to this early on in the game. And so I think that may be an appropriate anthem, and we may end up adjusting some of the numbers as this deck evolves, but I'm pretty excited about it. One of my concerns with the deck is running out of steam early in the game. I went ahead and put an Outpost Siege in here. Fate Reforged is a set that gets frequently over